From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, February 6th, 2015. Silver is trading at $17.09 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,250 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $219. Antiwar.com reports fresh from his latest NATO meeting, Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel warned that there is a growing division within the alliance along a north-south axis. Hagel saw the problem as twofold and seemed to blame southern member nations on both counts, saying the North wants to focus on the growing threat from Russia, while the southern nations are worried about North Africa. There's a big, obvious division, but Hagel also saw a problem in that many of the nations with less gargantuan militaries believe the alliance can only handle a war with one or the other, while Hagel assured it was a time for unity and heavy military investment so NATO could fight a whole bunch of conflicts at once. Ultimately, this split reflects the reality that NATO hasn't had a unified threat since the Cold War ended, and keeping the alliance around for the sake of hostility towards whoever the U.S. is riled up against at any given time is making less and less sense. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports electronics retailer RadioShack filed for bankruptcy protection on Thursday and said it had a deal in place to sell as many as 2,400 stores to an affiliate of hedge fund Standard General, its lender and largest shareholder. Under an agreement, wireless company Sprint would operate as many as 1,750 of those stores. RadioShack's bankruptcy, which has been expected for months, follows 11 consecutive unprofitable quarters as the company has failed to transform itself into a destination for mobile phone buyers. But its sales agreement with Standard General could spare it the fate of most retailers suffering Chapter 11 liquidation. RadioShack said in a statement that the Standard General affiliate, called General Wireless, would acquire between 1,500 and 2,400 of its 4,100 stores. Sprint would occupy about one-third of each RadioShack store, selling mobile devices across Sprint's brand portfolio as well as RadioShack products, services, and accessories. Other potential buyers will also have the opportunity to bid on RadioShack assets. Any deal will need to be approved by the bankruptcy court in Delaware. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court granted a stay Thursday to a man who is scheduled to die next week after 30 years on death row in Texas. Lawyers for Lester Leroy Bauer have appealed his conviction and sentence to the highest court. Their grounds include the length of time since he was given a death sentence, and they argue that a 30-year wait for execution is cruel and unusual punishment. Bauer has continued to deny that he killed Bobby Tate, Philip Good, Ronald Mays, and Jerry Brown in an aircraft hangar in 1983 during an attempt to hijack an ultralight plane. His lawyers say there is significant lingering doubt regarding guilt or innocence. The Supreme Court has not yet decided whether to review the case. The justices agreed automatically to delay the execution, but said it will expire if they decide not to take the appeal. Since he was convicted in 1984, Bauer has had 6 execution dates. His lawyer said, by any standard, the length of Bauer's incarceration on death row is unusual and far outside anything the framers of the Constitution would have considered acceptable rather than cruel. The lawyers also argue that Texas procedures in death penalty cases in 1984 may have prevented the jury from hearing testimony of Bauer's good character that might have mitigated evidence in the sentencing phase, and that prosecutors may have failed to produce evidence that contradicted their theory that Bowers was guilty. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.